So I'm going to go ahead and start recording and then start our meeting.
That's the best thing you've done.
I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
Is Mark there?
Yes, he is on.
Yep, I'm here.
And I'm going to start our Pledge of Allegiance video.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Visible.
liberty and justice for all.
I had some John Wayne for us this morning. I watched the John Wayne movie over the weekend, so I thought we should do some John Wayne. And then I have one of my favorite, Judy Garland, who's going to do My Country 'Tis of Thee. So we'll make sure we turn her up as well. So most of you don't know, but Chris Feaster is a huge Wizard of Oz fan. So we have lots of Judy Garland things around our house. We actually have a Wizard of Oz room in our house that has lots of pictures and lots of Wicked Witches and things like that. So I hope everybody enjoyed my Judy Garland tribute today. John Place, I know you're on the phone. Would you mind leading us in an invocation, please?
Father in heaven, we are honored and privileged to be your servant to children here in this community and the state and the world. We ask that your blessing will be upon us to help us do the very best that we can to help make lives better and enriched for so many children around the world. We ask this in the name of the one God, Jehovah. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Well, I want to welcome everybody today. I'm looking around the room. The only name I haven't seen for a while is Emily Gibson. Yay, so glad you're joining us today. Are there any other guests that are here? I think everybody else is good. With that, we'll do club announcements. Does anybody have club announcements?
Got a board meeting Monday.
That was going to be my announcement. You stole it from me, Lauren.
Okay.
If not, birthdays and anniversaries. It looks like Ernie Mills is celebrating his birthday on the 16th. And Kidden Gardner is celebrating on the 20th. I also had Rick and Nancy Funk celebrating an anniversary on the 20th of this month as well. So happy birthday, Kiwanians. Happy anniversary to Rick and Nancy. We'll go over to Happy Bucks. Is anybody happy on this very fine, cold winter day today?
I'll put in $1 because I'm going to get my second COVID shot this afternoon.
Yay.
All right.
I'll put in $2 because Jeannie and I are getting ours tomorrow.
Yay.
I'll put in $1 to welcome Mark Barnhizer to the Kiwanis Club.
I'll put in 2 because Monday, Bess and I get our second shot.
I'll put in 2 because we've already had our second shots. Had our last one on Tuesday.
Yay.
Well, since Rolly opened his wallet, I guess I better put in 2 for Connie and I. We also got ours a couple days ago. Our second shots.
Awesome.
And you're not even old, Roger.
Used my fake ID.
Well, I'm going to put in 1 for our speaker today and 1 for my awesome husband who is supposedly on the call, but he brought me my Valentine's gift in front of everybody. So thank you. I'm very happy for that. Any other happy bucks today? If not, I'm going to turn it over to Don Simpkin, who's going to introduce our speaker.
I'm happy to welcome Mark Barnhizer again to the club. Mark's a lifetime resident of Richmond, and he graduated from Richmond High School and then went on to Indiana University. 38 years ago, he founded Barnhizer and Associates, which has become a very diversified and successful company under his tutelage. Mark's company, as most of you would know, have a long history of fire and water restoration, mold remediation, and carpet and other cleaning and janitorial services. Then Mark's company has developed expertise in environmental and consulting and restoration in the last several years, and most recently in COVID protection. The company works mainly in that area, in hospitals and health facilities in a broad area between the Dayton area and Richmond and Indianapolis. I also see his people every day when I go there at the courthouse the entire day, keeping it safe for all of us and all the workers at the courthouse. Mark is a member of several professional associations and has contacts throughout the world, or throughout the country, maybe the world, and again has a special niche or expertise in the COVID and other types of protection. So it's a timely subject, and I know it'll be interesting. He'll enlighten us as to COVID protection and what his company has been doing about it. So without further ado, I'll introduce to you Mark Barnhizer. Oh.
Mark, you gotta unmute yourself.
Should be, how's
There
that?
you go.
That get you back again. I've been having a nightmare with this thing today, so. But again, I do appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody. And Don, thank you for the invite. Again, it's greatly appreciated. So, but yeah, Barnhizer and Associates, again, Don did a great job of kind of going through everything that we do. So, but in the last 8 to 10 years, we developed a new program that we were doing a lot of specialty containments for hospitals, healthcare, in new construction when they would take a floor and have to do a remodel on it, or actually go in and build out new expansions. So this is something that, putting different rooms under what we call negative air to help control the air that's in that environment so it doesn't leave, kind of really coincided pretty well with this COVID issue. We were already in a lot of hospitals throughout Indiana and Ohio doing this type of work. And then when the COVID thing hit, things got a little crazy, as we all kind of know. We actually have specialty panel systems that we can go in. For instance, we have a hospital that we have 27 ORs, and we took 6 of those ORs that were basically in the middle of them, put them under what we call negative air containment, put up our panel systems, made specialty ways for people to enter and exit them so it would not create any type of an environmental, bacterial, or viral issue for the people that are working in the OR, especially the patients. Getting a infection in a hospital sometimes can be pretty rough. Myself ended up having that about 8 years ago. So it even added more to what we try to do in these hospitals to help protect the patients, to help protect the individuals that are having surgeries, to try to help eliminate any type of staph infections. So of course, the COVID thing, we had multiple hospitals that we supplied equipment to, went in, did consulting and evaluations to create, you'll hear even at Reed, they'll talk about having a COVID negative area that they keep patients in. That basically is controlling the air environment. So all of the air that's inside there when people are coughing and even talking and having, different respiratory problems, all that air does not leave that COVID area. We create what's called negative air. So all the air surrounding that area is sucked into that area where you may have an infection or, some type of trauma going on. That's, it does help, even though, with the CDC and everything that we're reading today, nobody really seems to have a defined answer on, is it transferred through the heating and ventilation systems? Is it all just basically airborne contact? Which even this morning, there were changes from the CDC in people that had their vaccinations. And I'm sure glad to hear, it sounds like everybody has pretty much. It's very important. And even with the people that I work with, they, I get the opportunity in a lot of hospitals to meet and talk to some of the people that run these laboratories, run labs, and medical professionals that are really trying to make sure everybody understands the urgency of getting the vaccination. So, but it's great to hear. Sounds like everybody here has that. And I was blessed also that I received my second vaccination yesterday. So, but with the exposure I have, and I do have credentials at a couple of hospitals, so I'm actually considered staff in some of those areas. But again, it's a process that our company has just really gone through some major changes. We probably work now more in the healthcare environment and doing that type, even with our mold remediation. We still are doing a lot of that through even hospitals. Again, putting it under negative air, controlling the environment. I wish I could share some of the pictures I had, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen today. And I am not the best IT guy, so I apologize for that. But again, it's something that has really taken off for us, even as the COVID thing is winding down, we are working more and more with contractors, getting ready to build out areas in hospitals. We just finished a major containment, not only for partially the COVID, but also a hospital in Ohio did a $130 million expansion. We actually had to go on each one of the floors, put up our containments to make sure that the patients are being protected on each one of those floors from all the dust, the dirt, any bacteria, any welding gases, any type of odors that would be going on while they're having all this construction going on. It seems like it's been even more important a lot with the COVID. Again, you know, you got people out there that have to be put in specialized areas, and we've been able to help even design some new things, working with some of the hospitals, even on their air controls, their HEPA filtration. HEPA filter basically cleans the air down to 99.97% and actually will catch and pick up the COVID virus because of the way it attaches to different moisture droplets, dirt, that type of thing being spread in the air. But that is kind of the biggest part of what we do as a business at this point. We still obviously do a lot of fire, water damage, still clean a lot of carpets and upholstery, car interiors. It's amazing how many calls we've gotten from people that had a relative, family member that ended up with a positive COVID, going in, cleaning, wiping, and then disinfecting the house itself. Just like Don had mentioned at the courthouse, in between every case, we actually go in, wipe all of the high touch areas, and then disinfect each courtroom, jury room, all those areas between each case. Again, just trying to help reduce the spread of this. We do a lot with the fire departments. When they have issues, we've disinfected, I'll be honest with you, can't tell you how many ambulances, fire stations, you know, when they have different issues in them. So, but took care of the city building, you know, kind of that same thing. So, but it's something that we've been blessed. That's one of the reasons we've stayed in this community. As far as I'm concerned, it's a great place to live, and we've been blessed again that we've been able to grow, expand, hire the people that we have, and still be able to offer a service basically anywhere from about 2 to 3 hours radius coming out of Richmond, and hope to continue to grow and enjoy it here. So especially as Richmond's going to start growing. But is there any questions anybody has that I might be able to help answer? Home purification, home, you know, do you have any questions about, you know, what can you do in your house? Even with certain types of UV systems you can install in your furnace or have installed, and to help, you know, eliminate the issues, or even with some of the new strains coming, which kind of have me concerned right now, even though the shots that we all got, they're telling us that it will take care of those. And so far, all the testing has proven that. But there are different air systems. You have people talk about putting HEPA filter machines in their homes to help clean the air, which are very effective. Just got to need to make sure that they're adequate for how large your home is. And different systems, even residentially, on your furnace, just circulating the air constantly in your home makes a big difference. But anybody have any questions?
Mark, we do have a couple questions in the chat box.
Okay.
The first one is, sorry if we missed it, how long have you been in business?
Actually, been in business for a little over 38 years.
Awesome. What have been the biggest challenges doing business during COVID-19?
You know, the biggest challenge we've had is protecting our employees. We are pretty stringent in what we do, how we have them go out. Everybody, even right now, if you're even in the office, you're required to have a mask on unless you're sitting at your desk or, in your truck by yourself. Otherwise, they all, even in the trucks, will have their mask on. We make sure they are trained and go through the proper PPE, even how to properly put on and take off their Tyvek suits, specialty suits, especially if we're going into somebody's home that it has a positive COVID, and we have that possibility, for them to pick something up.
Another question. What is needed to make our schools safe for students and teachers?
I tell you, taking a look, and most of the schools do a really good job of their HVA systems as far as how much fresh air they bring into the school, how much air they're turning, the filtration. A lot of schools right now are updating to what we call a MERV 13, which is a special filter that they are actually recommending to help pick up these droplets as they travel through the system. The big thing they're doing is their disinfection has changed. We've got some pretty big school systems that we actually have sold systems to, that they are doing their own, what we call disinfection misting. And that is, we've noticed already, even before COVID, that they saw significant drops in the flu. And fortunately, a couple of schools that we had already implemented this in there. And once COVID hit, then they were pretty much kind of ahead of the ball game. But they're actually doing a very good job, from what what we've talked to them and people that for what we're seeing that they're doing at this point.
Well, that kind of leads into the next question. Do you use sprayers, and how effective do you think they are?
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of different systems that are out there. We use a couple different systems, depending again on where we're working. We've got some large industrial plants that we are actually in almost daily, because they have shipments coming from all over the world. They have people coming in and out constantly, drivers that are, driving from California to good old Richmond, Indiana, that can possibly be carrying this kind of thing. The misting systems, most of them do a very good job, as long as they're used properly, just like anything else. They've got to be used properly. You've got to properly train your technicians to make sure they understand what the expectation is for this to properly disinfect and kill this virus. But yes, we do use them, and they can be very effective. Matter of fact, we are using a misting system at the courthouse. That's the final step they do between each case, and seem to be having some great results there.
Next question. Do you do any work with congregate living situations, or how about jails?
Yes, we've been actually we've helped Marin County over in Indianapolis a couple different times in different areas there. Most nursing homes and care centers, it's pretty tough. Most of them have their own systems, because most of them it's one patient at a time. Most of those people are ambulatory; they can't leave, so they're actually have most of their CNAs, nurses, going in, wiping down, treating those high touch places in those rooms, even after they've been possibly even vacated. But we've done transport vehicles for them. We've done different facilities, but again, most of that they pretty much take care of in-house.
Next question. What is your primary source of information? CDC, WHO. It seems like the information on this is pretty much in flux.
Well, uh, yeah, and that is true. It's just like, this morning, CDC changed it. Again, if you've had your shot, you no longer have to quarantine, for the 14 days if you come in contact with somebody, as long as, and this is one thing I'm not too sure they're highlighting, you're about 2 weeks past your second shot for it to give you that full protection. The CDC is a place. I do communicate with the Board of Health, with the Indiana State Board of Health, but the biggest part of it, I actually get through my APIC group. It's American Professionals in Infection Control. We actually talk, Don was kind of right, not only in the United States, but I've had conversations with some of our people in infection control in Italy about some of the things that were going on there. I've got a good friend that actually is at Johns Hopkins out in California that I met through a conference years ago, but with the COVID thing, we've been kind of staying in touch and discussing some of the protocols, procedures, even on containment, what needs to be done, what shouldn't be done. But between that and my ASHI group, that's where I get most of my information through, because those are people I can actually talk to. And I feel like they're some of the smartest people that you could ever meet and understand truly what's going on with this COVID thing.
Do you recommend MERV 13 for our homes?
I tell you what, you can. MERV rating of 13, the one thing you got to really be careful is your furnace able to handle the reduction in airflow? What that does, obviously it's a concentrated filter. That is what the CDC says, because of the way a particulate will travel. A virus doesn't travel a straight line. When it gets into your air system, it bounces all over and zigzags and all that. It's trying to avoid that. But a MERV 13 is what they do recommend. Does an amazing job, but you want to make sure and talk to your furnace people. Is that possible? And how will that affect my airflow so it doesn't do any damage to your furnace?
Next question, how did you train your people to change from dealing with mold and fire damage to a virus?
Well, the funny thing about that, through our IICRC certification to do mold remediation and a lot of different things that we do with sewage damages in basements, they were already gone through the training for proper PPE, respirators, how to set up containment, because in a mold remediation, you've got to kind of do the same thing. You don't want that to spread throughout an entire house. So you have to put it under negative air. You have to wear a certain particular respirator, which has what we call a P100 cartridge on it, which again, same thing for the virus. If it's got a P100, they're not going to breathe anything in like that. So, they pretty much were somewhat already trained. The big thing we had to train to double check them with is obviously when you don and doff your PPE, how to double check all of that, put it into a special bag just in case you had any type of a virus or anything on that PPE itself. But all in all, it didn't take much of a transition, especially with the work that we were doing in the hospitals. Our people go through some pretty good training, and they're, well, let's put it this way, I'm pretty anal about them making sure they follow it too, so.
That's all the questions I have in the chat box. Anybody feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions, or you can type some more in the chat box.
Mark, this is Don.
Yeah, Don.
could you explain a little bit about at the very beginning of the COVID, whether it was December a year ago or November or January, whenever it was, how and when you sort of got the idea that this was going to be the problem it is, and where that came from and how you reacted. And then if you could also give us just a little bit of a COVID 101 and explain to the extent that you're able to what is the virus and where it comes from generally, and then how it mutates, what that means, and where you get different strains, and as in the scheme of things, how does that happen? How does the virus come about, and then how does it sort of mutate in time?
Well, originally, back in November, we started hearing some things through the hospitals about this virus that, they were really concerned about how it was going to affect everybody in the United States and all that. At that time, with just kind of seeing what else and some people I talked to, not only throughout the US, but some of the other countries, we started kind of gearing up with our HEPA air scrubbers, equipment, PPE, proper suits and all that, just because I guess I kind of saw this coming. And we were very fortunate that, a lot of people were having issues trying to find negative air machines, HEPA air scrubbers and all that. And we ended up, because of the inventory we had, selling them to different people, different facilities, even out at the hospital, for them to be able to start putting together these COVID areas. So call it luck, maybe, just communicating with the right people, but we were already one step ahead of it, and then started right away in with the hospitals, helping them set up the containments, set up some of the negative air areas, how to filtrate some of the air that they had, and kind of, really put us in the right direction as we were moving along. Where the virus comes from, I think everybody'd like to know right now. Initially, who knows at this point? We all know it started in China, but they haven't been too forthcoming on a lot of their information. And even with our group, there's a lot of speculation going on. But that's the one thing that it seems like, the CDC and everybody's been trying to take a look at, not only where it came from, but like you mentioned, the way that it is mutating. Viruses naturally will do that to protect themselves, not only to protect themselves, to be able to spread, be able to exist. That's why you have so many different forms, or the way people are affected by it. I've got a good friend that, just got over it, younger guy, hadn't been sick, had no problems at all, and still has a lot of issues afterwards. But and there's a big question, how's it spread? Everybody's saying, oh, well, I don't think the mask is the deal. Well, with a lot of testing, we've proven that wearing a mask is. Now, with the mutated, CDC is now saying, well, maybe we better double mask, because the way the new viruses are being more contagious, they're spread easier. And just to make sure that people are wearing the proper mask and PPE when they're, out in the public area. But a lot of that, again, you've got a lot of people that have personal preference, and excuse me, get rid of that. It's a necessary evil right now. And, everybody keeps thinking that, we're all going to get vaccinated. I have a feeling everybody better get used to wearing a mask for some time. I think it's going to be something that it's going to help not only the current virus, but any new viruses that are coming down the road at us.
Mark,
Don't know if that.
how many employees do you have?
Pam, right now we are, I think, at 14, and hoping to grow quite a bit more.
Another question in the chat box. Do you remediate asbestos?
At this time, no, we do not. We've got a lot of hospitals and mechanical companies that we work throughout Indianapolis that keep asking us to put that in our repertoire of things that we do. But you know, asbestos, it's a whole different. I mean, for mold remediation, asbestos, you kind of set up a fairly similar, but we just really haven't stepped into that. Even though everybody keeps, you know, we've got some hospitals that are begging us to do that, and we've looked at that lately, but have not made a decision to actually do that type of work.
A follow-up question to the number of employees. Are you able to keep your employees for a long time?
You know, we've been pretty fortunate. We've got a core group that have been with us for quite some time. Yes, especially right now, even with the COVID issue, we ran into issues that we had some employees that were, you know, really concerned about it, didn't feel like they wanted to work in that environment, and had a few changeovers. But all in all, we're pretty fortunate. You know, we do offer a pretty good pay scale. Our insurance is excellent from what they all tell us. And, you know, we've got a 401k that we try to really work with that with each one of our employees. So we've got a lot of different things that we try to do. Plus, you know, we feel like our professionalism, just the way we handle and work. And plus, you know, most of our employees work in 72-degree temperature weather 80% of the time. So it's a lot different than, you know, out on a roof or something like that. Fire damages are a little different. You know, obviously those happen, but we're pretty fortunate. But again, like everybody else in Wayne County, it's tough finding people right now because for us, they have to go through special drug screening. They have to do what we call an MVR for driving. And then most of the hospitals, because of the drug screen and background checks they have to go through, it's amazing how many people we can't hire that we wish we could. But we do a lot of work for Dayton Children's Hospital. So again, they're around children. They've got to, you know, pass a special background check. I, as an owner, had to go through a major FBI background and all that just to get credentials there. So,
What percent of your business is now for COVID-related jobs?
probably right now about 40% of our business.
Wow.
And yeah, you know, a lot of it with everybody being home. Water damages weren't happening near as much because, you know, people were home all day. If a kid went up and turned a sink on and walked away from it, mom and dad were usually right there shutting it off. Or if they would have a water heater leak or something like that, they can shut the water off real quick. That part of our business kind of really dropped. But all in all, again, you know, we've been pretty fortunate with the hospital containments and the work that we're doing through COVID. Even our air duct cleaning, you know, people concerned about their air systems in their house, and a lot of different mechanical contractors coming, cleaning those out and adding some UV light systems to clean and disinfect. You know, that has really kind of helped with part of the work that, you know, we weren't able to do.
Mark, could you explain a little bit about mold, how it comes about, and basically what it is, and how quickly it becomes a problem? Let's say after a water damage, and what problems it causes for people, and how you treat it then.
Well, I tell you what, mold is what we call ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Everything in a building outside has mold on it. It's when you get certain type of molds at certain humidity levels growing in an indoor environment that creates a problem. You can have a water loss, and if it doesn't get dried out properly, or you have a leaky pipe that, that drywall's getting wet, it'll dry out. But over a period of time, you get all types of bacteria that build up. You'll get mold that will start to grow, and then can create all kinds of problems because mold's just like us. It likes food and it likes to eat. It can literally deteriorate your sheeting, your 2x4 studs, your drywall. And most molds, it usually takes close to about 72 hours for you to start to see what we call visible mold growth. We've all seen all the specials on TV about the black molds and all that. Well, the black mold itself is, I guess the AMA has said that Stachybotrys, which everybody keeps talking about, is the one that they have actually said cause certain mental, breathing, and all that issues. But even some of the what we call Aspergillus penicilliums that you'll see, kind of the light greens, the different pinks and stuff like that, with different people will cause different problems. Some of those molds can be minor, and if you have asthma or you have some type of breathing disorder, can be very effective to your lungs, can cause all types of problems. So everybody's a little different. Used to have a guy that worked for me that I called my canary, because he could walk into a house in 15 minutes, tell you if there was mold in it. It affected him and bothered him that much. For me, I sometimes can be in there for hours, and unless I can distinctively, smell the odor, doesn't bother me much. And again, that could be because how many years I've been around it and that type of thing. So, but everybody's different. Everybody reacts differently to it. So making sure that water issue gets dried out properly is a big issue. And then if you do have mold, making sure that it's remediated properly. Again, that area, depending, should be put under negative air to help protect and make sure that there aren't any different issues with it.
Mark, I have a question. Saw your service area map, and looks like you have an office in Ohio, and you even do some work in Kentucky. Could you talk about that southern office?
Yeah, actually, we closed that southern office, which, it is still on there, isn't it? That's surprising. We just we're doing updates on all those. We actually closed that facility because we were actually utilizing space now within 2 different hospitals, that we actually had our own space there. So, and the other thing too, because of the nature of our work, having control over exactly what the crews were taking, leaving, did they have the proper equipment, the proper PPE, some of the proper things that were needed. I actually found out that long run, it ended up better for us operating the main part of the business out of Richmond here. But again, we had equipment, all that sitting in 2 other hospitals. So we were able to utilize those spaces also.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I definitely got to make that change. Yes.
Mark, this is Keith Kendall.
Keith.
Several years ago, I had a solution for a problem of removing asbestos. I pastored a church in Carmel, and we had to replace the old boiler that was encased in asbestos. I'd heard that it takes 15 to 20 years of exposure to asbestos before you got sick. I suggest we hire 80-year-old people come in there and remove that. We wouldn't have to worry about it.
That's a good idea. that's a good idea, but unfortunately it's not true. But it's amazing with asbestos. Again, depending on sometimes your age, sometimes any immune deficiencies that you may have, it affects people differently. I actually have a good friend worked in a power plant on the Ohio River, worked at Stewart Station, was in there amongst that asbestos all the time, didn't always have the proper PPE on, and now he's got quite a few different throat issues, different issues like that. And hey, I consider myself still a young man, so, but he's got issues, and it was all just basically because of that. So, but I'm not sure what the timeline. Again, it would depend on the concentration and the asbestos also, because there's a wide range of different asbestos makeups and that kind of thing. But ADO, that's a thought. So, thank you.
Are there other questions for Mark today? I don't have anything else in the chat box.
Hey, Mark, I just want to thank you for always stepping up and helping us at the village. We've had a couple of water problems over our 17-year history there, and you've taken care of it and appreciate it.
Well, Dan, I appreciate that. Always appreciate when you guys call. So, and again, if you guys ever have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me personally. That's the one thing everybody keeps asking me, when are you going to retire? And I keep telling them, you know what? I love what I do. I don't see myself retiring anytime soon. And I'm still, I don't spend much time in this office. I'm out and about. I'm still kind of that on hands. Well, just like over there, wanted to come out and make sure that, things were starting in the right direction and we were going to take care of things for you. But that's just kind of the way I am. And again, always appreciate your call.
All right.
Mark, do you go into people's homes and do an assessment as far as what might help with the COVID or other protections, such as the filters you talked about and that kind of thing? And do you install them?
Nope. We can go in, take a look and see if there's any environmental issues, but we leave all the installation, anything in your heating and air systems, all that, to the mechanical contractors. Now we do work with them, in taking a look at different systems and that type of thing. But most of that, we leave to the professionals that do that all day long. So, but again, we'll consult and assist them in any way we can, especially if there's any mold issues, that type of thing. We do a lot of air sampling, whether it's in a home business, that kind of thing, just to see if there are any microbial issues. Or, we've even worked with IU East and IV Tech doing different gas tests and that kind of thing. So, but as far as that type, that's pretty much what we'll do to help them out.
Mark, we really appreciate you joining us today. I learned an awful lot. I absolutely love your website and all the pictures that you show on your website. So
I appreciate that.
This is our Kiwanis silent clap that you don't get to hear, but you get to
That's
see
all right.
from everybody. Thank
Hey,
you
that's
again
great.
so much.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And again, much appreciated. And everybody stay healthy and stay safe, please.
Absolutely. Remind
Thank
everybody,
you.
next week our speaker is Mayor Dave Snow. He's going to talk about Richmond Rising and give us a great update for our city. He will be introduced again by Don Simpkin. 2 weeks in a row, Don. My goodness. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day, a little bit early for everybody. Please stay safe and warm, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.